When she left, she didn't cry. She didn't even hesitate. She just looked at me across the kitchen table. The same one we'd eaten dinner at for 10 years and said, "I can't live like this anymore, Mark. I need more." More what? I asked. "More life," she whispered, slipping off her wedding ring and placing it beside her half-finished coffee. That was the last thing she ever left behind. Her name was Emily. We'd been high school sweethearts, married young. Built everything from scratch. A small house, a modest business, a quiet life. But when my Uncle Leonard died and left behind his company to be run by the next capable generation, I thought maybe our luck had finally turned, until I found out he'd left it all to his business partner, a man named Charles Whitmore, wealthy, charming, and 20 years older than Emily. Within a month, she was gone. Moved out of our home, moved in with him. I saw her once after that Tata Charity Gala where she stood beside Charles like she'd been born into that world. New dress, new diamonds, new smile. I wasn't angry. Not at first. Just holler, because when someone trades you for money, it's not the betrayal that hurts most, it's realizing they were capable of it all along. But 2 years later, I got a call that changed everything. Charles Whitmore was dead. Heart attack, they said. A quiet end for a loud man. And according to his lawyer, every beneficiary in his will was required to attend the reading in person. That included Emily. And, for some reason, me. When I arrived at the estate, it was like walking into another world. Marble floors, chandeliers, the kind of place where money hums in the walls. Emily was already there, dressed in black, pretending to grieve. Her hand trembled slightly when she saw me. "Mark," she whispered, "you shouldn't be here." "Trust me," I said. I didn't want to be. Then the lawyer entered the room, carrying a thick folder. "Thank you all for coming," he said. "Mr. Whitmore left very specific instructions for this reading." He opened the folder, adjusted his glasses, and read the first line aloud. "To my wife, Emily Whitmore, before you receive anything, there is something you need to see. Something your husband knew long before you did." Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel, and write in the comments about which country you're watching this video from. Enjoy the story. The room went completely silent. And that's when I realized, whatever Charles had written, it wasn't just a will. It was revenge. The lawyer unfolded a single sheet of paper, cleared his throat, and said, "Mr. Whitmore's will begins not with words, but with a video." A murmur rippled through the room. Emily shifted in her seat, her eyes darting nervously toward me. The lawyer pressed play. The screen flickered to life, showing Charles Whitmore sitting in his study, a man who looked perfectly alive and very much in control. His silver hair was slicked back, his voice steady, his tone almost smug. "If you're watching this," he began, "it means my time's up and yours, Emily, is about to get interesting." Emily stiffened. "I know why you married me," Charles continued. "You thought you could charm an old fool, drain him dry, and move on to the next man with a better car and a bigger house. But you forgot one thing: I didn't get rich by being stupid." A few gasps filled the room. Emily's face went white. "You see, before you came into my life, I had a habit of testing loyalty. Every partner, every associate, every so-called friend had to prove they weren't after my money. Some passed. Most didn't. You, Emily, failed spectacularly." She stood up abruptly. "Turn it off," she demanded. "No," the lawyer said calmly. "Mr. Whitmore was very clear, no one leaves until the video ends." Charles leaned closer to the camera now, his expression hard. "You weren't subtle. You slipped money from my accounts into your little secret fund. You lied about your past. And worst of all, you helped yourself to my company's private files and gave them to someone you thought I'd never find out about." He paused, then smiled. "Mark," my heart skipped. The entire room turned toward me. Charles chuckled softly in the recording, double quotes, "Yes, Emily, I know about him. I know you thought he'd come crawling back once you inherited everything. But here's the twist: Mark was never your backup plan. He was mine." Emily's eyes widened. "What is he talking about?" she whispered. I didn't answer. I didn't need to, because suddenly, Everything started making sense. The strange phone call from Charles's lawyer. The unexpected invitation to the will reading. The video wasn't just for her, it was for both of us. Charles leaned back in his chair, his smirk widening. So here's what happens next, he said. Emily, you don't get a dime, but Mark, well, you're about to find out just how deep loyalty can pay. The screen went black, and that's when the lawyer said, Mr. Whitmore left behind a letter for you. Mark. The lawyer slid a sealed envelope across the polished oak table. My name, Mark Davis, was written on the front in bold black ink, Charles Whitmore's unmistakable handwriting. I hesitated for a moment. The air in that room was thick enough to choke on. Emily stared at me, her face pale, eyes wide with confusion and something else. Fear. I broke the seal and unfolded the letter. The room seemed to shrink as I read aloud. Mark, I know this will come as a surprise, but I owe you the truth. You see, long before Emily, I knew who you were. I knew about your work, your loyalty to my late partner, my brother, Henry, and how you refused to sell him out when everyone else did. That kind of integrity is rare. So when Emily came into my life, pretending she didn't know you, I saw my chance to find out what she was really made of. My throat went dry. I glanced at Emily, who shook her head furiously. He's lying, she hissed. But I kept reading. She thought I was too old, too blind, too easy to fool. But every smile, every secret, she whispered, was another page in her confession. What she didn't know was that I kept records, bank transfers, phone logs, even her messages to you. And when I saw how far she'd go for money, I decided to make my last investment count. The lawyer looked uneasy, but said nothing. Mark, the business empire you helped my brother start still exists, hidden under Whitmore Holdings. It's been under my care, waiting for someone worthy to take over. I'm leaving it all to you. The house, the assets, the controlling shares, everything. As for Emily, she inherit only what she truly earned. I stopped. The room went silent. Emily lunged across the table. You can't believe this, she shouted. He's doing this to punish me. The lawyer cleared his throat and read from the final page of the will. To my wife, Emily Whitmore, I leave the one thing she always wanted. No debts, no claims, no inheritance. Her voice broke. He can't do that. But it was done. Then, the lawyer turned to me once more. Mr. Davis, there's one more instruction. Mr. Whitmore requested that you open the study safe before you leave the property. He said, that's where the truth lives. The truth. 2 words that hit harder than any inheritance ever could. Because if Charles Whitmore had gone this far to expose Emily's lies, what exactly had he hidden for me to find? The lawyer escorted everyone out except me. Emily tried to follow, but he blocked her path. Mrs. Whitmore, he said firmly, your husband's instructions were very clear. Only Mr. Davis may enter the study. She glared at me, tears forming, but her voice cold. You think you've won, don't you? He's manipulating you from the grave, Mark. I didn't respond. I just turned away and walked toward the study. The room was exactly as I remembered from years ago. Mahogany shelves, a large window overlooking the gardens, and that faint smell of expensive cigars. The safe was built into the wall behind a portrait of Charles and Emily. I lifted the frame, and there it was, an old-fashioned combination lock. Taped beside it was a note. In Charles's sharp handwriting, it read, "The combination is the date Emily left you." I froze. My stomach twisted as I turned the dial. 31420. March 14th. 2 years ago, the safe clicked open. Inside was a stack of folders, a small black box, and a flash drive. My hands shook as I plugged the drive into the computer on the desk. The screen came alive, and a video file appeared titled simply, "For Mark." I hit play. Charles appeared again, sitting in the same study I was in now. If you're watching this, Mark, you've earned my trust. What you don't know is that Emily didn't just leave you for me, she left you for a plan. She thought she could marry me, inherit my fortune, and then make things right with you after I was gone. I felt my pulse quicken. But what she didn't know was that I was already dying. The doctors gave me 6 months, So I decided to spend those months watching how far she'd go. I hired investigators, recorded her meetings, traced her accounts. She stole from me, lied to me, and even tried to change the terms of my will behind my back. Charles leaned closer to the camera. The box inside this safe contains every piece of evidence: documents, voice recordings, transaction logs. I've left it in your name. Do with it what you will. I opened the black box and my breath caught. Inside were memory cards, photos, and a small velvet pouch. I emptied it onto the desk. A diamond necklace spilled out, one I'd seen before. It was the same necklace I'd given Emily on our 5th anniversary. The one she swore she'd pawned to pay off our debts. Only this time, it came with a note attached. Bought with stolen money. Given to another man. I stared at it, my hands trembling. Outside the study door, I heard footsteps. Slow, deliberate. Then Emily's voice, soft and desperate. "Mark, please, whatever's in there, don't believe him. You don't know what he was capable of." But deep down, I knew the truth. I'd spent years wondering why she left. Now, for the first time, I realized the question wasn't why she left MIT, was why Charles had chosen me to come back. Emily's voice came again, muffled through the door. "Mark, listen to me. Whatever he showed you, it's not true." Charles was paranoid. He made everything look worse than it was. Her words hit the air like poison. I didn't answer. My eyes were still fixed on the velvet pouch, the necklace glinting under the lamplight like a cruel memory. Then I noticed something else in the boxer, single-sealed envelope. Smaller than the rest. My name again, written in that same sharp handwriting. I tore it open. "Mark, you've always been the man she didn't deserve. I watched how she left you, how you didn't curse her, didn't chase her, didn't even try to destroy her life. That's real strength. I wish I'd known that kind of loyalty earlier in mine. Inside this box is proof of what she did. But also something more, a key. You'll find it beneath the false panel. Use it to open the vault beneath the wine cellar. That's where your real inheritance waits. P.S. Don't let guilt stop you from taking what's rightfully yours. You earned it long before she left." I pulled the small brass key from under the lining of the box. Heavy and cold in my hand. Outside, Emily was getting impatient. "Mark, please open the door. We can fix this. We can figure it out together." But her voice cracked on the word together. I walked past the portrait, down the long hallway, and into the cellar. The air grew colder, thicker, cobwebs clung to the ceiling. Against the back wall sat a hidden panel of stone, marked by faint scratches. I slid the key into the slot, turned it, and the wall groaned open. Inside was a metal chest and a single envelope taped to it. The label read, "To whom it may concern." I opened it slowly. "This vault contains the remaining assets of Whitmore Holdings, $42 million in shares, trust accounts, and properties. The executor has been instructed to transfer full ownership to Mark Davis. To anyone else reading this, if you're here, you're too late." My knees went weak. 42 million. Behind me, I heard a sudden gasp. Emily stood in the doorway, eyes wide, face pale. "So this is what he meant," she whispered. "He really gave it to you." Her expression twisted: grief, envy, disbelief, all fighting for space. "He ruined my life, and now you get to walk away with everything." I looked at her for a long moment. "No, Emily. You ruined your own life. He just made sure you saw it happen." She took a step toward me, tears streaking her face. "Mark, please, don't leave me with nothing." I held out the velvet pouch, the same necklace she once lied about, and placed it gently in her hand. "This is all that's yours now." Her sob echoed as I turned and walked up the stairs, the key still warm in my palm. Outside, dawn was breaking over the estate. For the first time in years, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel bitter. I just felt free. As I reached my car, I looked back at the mansion, at the woman who traded love for wealth and ended up with neither. Charles had been right all along. Some inherit money. Others inherit lessons. I got both. If this story moved you, give it a like, share it with someone who believes in karma. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories that remind us sometimes the richest revenge is peace.